he states that he doesn't think they'd be able to defeat Pitou. This is crazy because Pitou didn't even have a Hatsu ability yet. Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLos, and today we're talking about why Pitou is overpowered. Stay steady in pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So, Pitou is one of the strongest characters in the entire story of Hunter x Hunter. Today we're going to analyze every single power-up and ability this character is displayed to explain overall why Pitou is overpowered. So when Pitou is first introduced into the story, we get a good understanding of how insanely strong Pitou actually is by comparing Pitou to the officer ant Ramot. Ramot had just awoken Nen, and he was so powerful that he was beginning to speak like a squadron leader. When he sees his strength, he begins saying he believes he could even become a king, which is very similar to the dialogue that the squadron leaders were saying after the Chimera Ant hierarchy was destroyed. It is debatable, but you could argue that many of the officer ants, once they learned Nen, were now on par with what the squadron leaders were before they learned Nen. This is implied through a scene between Ramot and his squadron leader Colt. Ramot, with one punch, seriously damaged his squadron leader Colt. In the manga, Colt was still conscious after this attack, but he was definitely seriously damaged. Also, it should be noted that not all squadron leaders are equal in power. For example, characters like Zazan are a lot more powerful than characters like Colt. Zazan even has a transformation that makes her more powerful than her original base form, but it's an interesting argument that the officer ants with Nen are somewhat relative to at least some of the squadron leaders before they had Nen. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Despite Ramot being stronger than ever, the moment he sees Pitou for the first time, he instantly gives up on his dream of ever becoming king. He has a line of dialogue in which he states, Pitou's power was so overwhelming that Pitou had a predestined status that could never be altered. This implies that Ramot believed even if he trained for his entire life, he would never surpass the level of strength Pitou displayed when Pitou was first born. That's actually insane because Ramot himself is a very talented character. His base stats were so high that he survived a rock from Gon even before he learned Nen, and he never even developed a Hatsu ability. He had just started learning Nen and was stronger from that alone. So the concept of a guy this powerful learning a Hatsu ability and training for many years, still never reaching the level of Pitou when Pitou was first born, is actually very insane. This same Pitou then goes over to absolutely decimate Kite. Pitou defeats Kite before Pitou even develops a Hatsu ability. Just using raw aura alone, Pitou is able to destroy him. One of the strongest characters that we had seen up until that point, with the anime going out of their way to say that Kite was actually stronger than a Nen master, and he was so powerful that even with one arm, he was stronger than Gon and Killua put together, and it's implied that Pitou is somewhat playful by nature, so there's a possibility that Pitou was holding back throughout the majority of the fight as well. Soon after this, Killua sees Netero, Morel, and Nove, and he states that he doesn't think they'd be able to defeat Pitou. This is crazy because Pitou didn't even have a Hatsu ability yet. This implies that from Killua's perspective, no Hatsu Pitou would still scale above Netero, Morel, and Nove all working together, or at the very least could fight them one after another and defeat all three. But Killua didn't fully understand all of the details of Nen combat yet, so he might have just made that statement based off of raw aura alone. Amongst the Royal Guard, the Royal Guard that people focus on evolving the most is Youpi, because he has a very visible change in his appearance as he evolves, but it's implied that Pitou is evolving as well. Pitou is around a month older than Youpi, and during the entire month time frame had already started using its Hatsu abilities. It's implied that Pitou was actually getting stronger with its Hatsu ability all throughout that time. It's either that Pitou was evolving, developing one Hatsu ability after another, or Pitou developed multiple Hatsu abilities all at once. But based off of what Pitou is saying, I believe it's more likely that Pitou just started with the healing puppet, and at most might have also started with a puppet to control Kite, and then everything else was developed afterwards. The Hatsu ability to control Kite is vastly underrated. Knuckle states that when he and Shoot battled the puppet version of Kite, Knuckle actually sealed Kite's Nen, and then afterwards it was Pitou's Nen that was controlling Kite. If Kite was dead, how did he still have Nen to seal? One possibility is that this Kite puppet might have actually had post-mortem Nen. This is debatable because Kite's Hatsu ability that he used to stay alive has some mysteries around it, so maybe it wouldn't really count as post-mortem Nen. Also, Knuckle and Shoot had a theory that this Kite puppet was being used to train the soldier ants. From Pitou's perspective, basically all of the ants are soldier ants, even the squadron leaders. So we don't exactly know what the rank of ants this Kite puppet was capable of fighting. In theory, Pitou was having multiple Nen battles by controlling Kite during this 1 month time frame, giving Pitou much more experience in Nen combat than characters like Yuppie. Another possibility is Pitou itself might have been fighting this Kite puppet. That was its goal when healing Kite anyway, was to fight Kite again, so Pitou might have actually been doing that. That would also explain why it becomes increasingly more powerful as you land attacks on it, which would give Pitou more Nen combat. Furthermore, the ability to control over 500 people, that's even more soldiers than the max number of Deep Purple clones that Morel can create. Finally, we actually get details on the power of Pitou's N. When Pitou was falling down from the sky after battling Netero, the narrator states that Pitou was around 500 meters away from the palace. Pitou was still able to extend its N all the way over to the palace, and not just reach the palace, but actually cover the entire palace itself. This implies that Pitou's N radius is somewhere around 500 meters. It might potentially be even further than that. This is really crazy because we see characters like Zeno, who states he had an N radius of 300 meters. But Zeno states N was a very tiring technique, meanwhile Pitou is using N for days on end. Pitou also performs N feats that I don't think we see any other character ever do. Pitou can actually create an empty space in the center of the N radius, where Meruem would not be affected by it. And then Pitou also explains that Pitou can create different shapes out of its N, such as an umbrella shape over the palace. I don't know if we ever see any other character in Hunter x Hunter display N feats like this, and it's also stated that Pitou's N is superior to Poof's N, and the narrator states that with experience, Pitou is actually getting better at using the healing puppet. Overall, Pitou is insanely impressive, and most of the verse would really stand no chance against Pitou. There's also this scene where Netero and Zeno are standing in front of Pitou and Meruem, and when Pitou summons its healing puppet, Netero and Zeno for a brief moment think that they're both about to lose instantly, and it's debatable on whether or not they were sensing their defeat from Pitou just summoning its healing puppet, or if they were sensing that from Meruem walking between them. That's a debatable thing, but if it was from just Pitou summoning its healing puppet, that's crazy because that puppet's not even used for combat. That's not even the strongest thing Pitou can do. That's everything I wanted to say. Pitou is genuinely overpowered, and the fact that Gon just absolutely low diffs Pitou is really crazy. It shows you how strong adult Gon really was. If you guys are watching this on the day I posted it, happy holidays. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the views in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.